Welcome to Awakening 101. I'm Jeremiah, and this
I'm Chazz.
is Chazz. Today, we're diving real deep. I mean, deeper than the pyramids go.
Hold on, I gotta go deeper.
Yes.
Just gotta get the knob there. We're deeper now. We are deeper.
How deep do they go? Real deep.
I guess now we don't even know because they have found evidence that they may go wildly deeper than we originally thought.
So stay tuned, and let's dive some pyramids.
I have the truth. What is it about the pyramids that you have been told?
Well, they're tombs. I mean, that's...
We've been told they're tombs, yes, and they have a sarcophagus in them
Right.
that holds mummies.
Right, and that's where we find all of our mummies today. Like, that's where all the mummies come from, right?
That's what we would be told, correct.
Yeah.
This is not true. I would say all of that not true. Like, the whole premise of it is just not true. But, like, when you think about it at the starting fact, anything we find that is of ancient origins, we just immediately claim tomb or burial or religious place of worship, right? I mean, that's really, we don't know. That's all it is. We can't fathom anything else from this. So, no, they're not tombs. We've never found a mummy. And
wait, you've never found a mummy in these pyramids?
We've never found a mummy in any pyramid. That's a true story.
In any pyramid.
In any pyramid. Oh, in any major pyramid. Look, the fake ones that were built long later on and they're all like deteriorating away and they're like shitty old pyramids. Okay, maybe they have found some in there. But I'm talking about like the Great Pyramids of Giza or the ones that are of significance and the way they've been built in the oldest ones. No, we've never found them. It's never happened. Okay. This has never taken place.
So then these little chambers that hold the mummies.
Yeah, the sarcophagus with the mummies in them.
What are they? Like, why do they just think they're tombs? I don't get it.
So we've never found a mummy in a sarcophagus. They're granite boxes. These sarcophaguses are just a giant granite box that has been perfectly cut out of one giant slab of granite. So it's not four walls buckled together. It was a bowl cut out of a giant boulder. And then they smoothed out everything, made a perfect box out of one slab.
With sandpaper.
With sandpaper, yeah.
Assuming, right?
Keep in mind, these are just slaves with chisels.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Even though granite is the second hardest stone on earth next to diamond. Therefore, you need a granite chisel or a diamond chisel to even pull this off. But then you think about it, it was perfectly shaped at 90-degree angles where we have to have laser precision accuracy to even determine the level of error on this.
Whoa.
So we can barely accomplish this to this day without our modern technology to help us do it. Okay? And even then, if you were to take this idea to a granite person, I forgot what they call these people, sorry. But if you took it to someone who cut rock and stone into different slabs, they would tell you what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into 4 or 5 pieces or whatever, and then we're just going to slap them and bolt them all together. Because we don't really have a way to just scoop that shit out.
Yeah, right. In a perfect,
smooth, polished everything. And we're talking about 500 to 1,000 tons. And out of reference, our biggest crane today in modern technology can do 20 tons. 20 tons. These are 500 to 1,000 tons in these. And there's like many of them. We have found like 6 of these bitches in there. Okay,
right. But when are they saying these things were built? Like
they would have said that like this would have been like the early dynasties. So like, you know what, 5, 6, 7,000 years ago, something like that.
Right. And we can't even do it today, thousands of years later.
Some of the stuff we could possibly do. A lot of it, no, we can't. There's just no way. I don't think we can cut out. Like maybe if we spent an abnormal amount of time and money to pull it off, we maybe could pull this off.
Right, but it came like straight from the bolt, like
Yeah.
a big boulder, and then you pull this
You just
smooth rectangle, is it?
Yeah.
With a stone slab for the lid. Does it?
Yeah, it does have a lid.
It moves off and on, right? It can.
I mean, we're talking about like a 100-ton stone top.
Imagine you could lift and just move.
But yes, it can move. It can move.
But
yes. We have moved it halfway off of one.
I wonder what that.
And you can climb up into it.
Is it big? How big is it?
They're taller than you.
Imagine putting a mummy in there. Like how small would that mummy look compared to these little,
I saw the videos of the guy who got hoisted up on top of one so he could film inside of it. I mean, these things could fit many people. Many of us could go hang out in
multiple mummies.
This is like, I would say that it's comparable to the size of my office.
Which is,
this is you can fit a desk and, like 2 chairs and computers and all kinds. Yeah, I mean, this is like a room almost, like a small closet. And it's as tall as like I am, it looked like.
Really? So
we're talking like 6 feet from the ground almost.
So you can't just like peer in unless you're.
I don't think so. I think you have to be hoisted up into this thing. And we only slid the thing halfway off.
I bet that took an insane amount of either manpower or machinery.
How do you get the machinery into those little rooms?
I was just about to ask that. So how did the little rectangle boxes even get in there? So
yeah, that's the other part is the corridors to get into this place are not even big enough for the sarcophagus to have gotten through.
So they are bigger than the actual.
Yeah. So theoretically, either we haven't found the chambers that were to carry these things in, or they were built already in them. And the structure was built around them as they went.
Yeah. They came from the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just like, yep. And then they were just there.
Yes.
That's interesting that we wouldn't be able to fit them through the actual doorway to reach that chamber.
No, those, like, everybody's like, everything that you see about getting into that thing is like crouched and like tunnelish.
Really?
And then even then when you're walking through the chambers, and not only that, but they're like, not only is it small and closed in, there's no way a fucking 6-foot, 1,000-ton granite box could come through here. Okay, let's forget about sizing for a second. It's absolutely pitch black. And there are no signs of any fire being burned, any lanterns of any kind in anywhere in those chambers. They don't have any evidence of this in the corridors. So, like, how would you have even seen what the fuck you were doing if you were trying to move the boxes through the corridors?
Right.
Forget
torches for sure.
Forget that they're like 2 or 3 times the size of the corridors. Let's forget about that. And that the fact that like 1,000 tons is like insanely impossible for humans to even carry. So like you couldn't have done this. That couldn't have been done. We're talking about like, okay, there are either things that we haven't seen and figured out that are massive to the story.
Very possible, I suppose.
Or we're totally being lied to about this.
Probably being lied to.
Yeah. Especially when you find out that none of the mummies came from these tombs. We never found mummies. No evidence historically have gone back as far as I can go. Nobody Napoleon and all these famous people who went and did all this excavation. Okay, they never found mummies in any of these damn things. They only found artifacts and other stuff. Now, the vase artifacts is a wild one that we can get into a little bit because the early vases that they found are like granite and perfection.
Okay.
And they're all built out of one stone.
I don't know if I know much about the vases.
The vases are really, because they don't want you to really. That one, to me, the moment I discovered about the vases, you like can't hide that one. That one's like, oh, shh. Okay, seriously.
Slide that under the rug.
Yeah, everybody just stop talking about that one because like these things are granite vases that are a perfection in every symmetrical way, but have handles that were carved out of. It's all one piece again. The way these ancient builders did things was one piece was built. It never is two combined. They don't do this.
It's stupid impressive. Like just to try to fathom how it was done.
I know.
You can't. Like we don't have that kind of technology.
We don't.
And we never have.
We can't. Like here's the part where it all breaks down. You cannot take. We can slide. Sure, everybody argues all the time like we can slide a 1,200-ton block blah, blah, blah. Like, technically in the 1700s, we took this giant stone thing and we, like, put sheets of metal under it and, like, slid it for a long time. And it was this big deal. But, like, we can kind of do this. Sliding. When you slide. Yeah, well, that's another, yeah, because the moment you try to use wood, 1,200 tons will just destroy the wood into pieces and just crush it into nothing, okay? So the problem breaks down when you say, oh, you've slid it all the way here. Awesome. We now need to hoist it 100 feet up in the air, and we need to perfectly place it in between those other two blocks, like perfectly.
No, that's not perfect. A little bit more to the right.
A piece of paper can't get through the cracks. That's how perfect we're talking about.
That's brilliant.
And they never used any type of cement between them. They're just that close.
They're just.
So how do you get a 1,000-ton block up 100 feet and then perfectly placed into some place that has to then be like a keystone to an area?
Right.
This is fucking impossible. You can't do this.
I got the answer.
Well, it's sound.
Giants.
Well, you know what? All right, touche, dude. Touche.
Giants.
Touche.
You enslave them, make them do your bidding.
The Nephilim.
Build pyramids. The Nephilim.
Nephilim just, but like, dude, a giant's going to carry around 1,000-ton block?
How heavy do you think giants could lift?
Not 1,000 tons.
No way,
There's
right?
no
Even
way,
them,
dude.
I don't
You
know
maybe
if they'd be able to lift them.
1,000 pounds.
But then you're talking about moving it from the quarry that it was.
Yeah, it's 200 miles away. That's one of the quarries. There was the limestone quarry that was like even further away, I'm pretty sure.
Jeez.
Like
But imagining us trying to carry, a couple 100 pounds that far of a distance, just walking that far alone.
Yeah, and they say it was 20,000 slaves, took 20 years or some shit like that.
I don't believe it. I feel like those pyramids were built like that. Like I've got a feeling those pyramids did not take very long to build.
No, they were very quick and very smooth, and all of this was very just chop, done, and we're out of here. And it was all pre-planned, pre-organized, predefined. Everything's known, what to do, how to do it. The blocks, like you go look at the quarries, and it's like perfect blocks being cut out. I mean, this is all
what's left after the blocks are cut out.
Like engravings, but are like there's imprints of where the block came from, where they took it out, and then there's also like spots where the blocks, like I showed you with the pregnant lady block, where it's like they just stopped mid quarry, or you see where they were left blocks behind.
Do you think it was because the block wasn't as perfect as they needed it to be? Why do you think they left blocks behind?
We have evidence, and we have seen cuttings. So there's been a bunch of people who've been studying the actual like carvings and how it was cut. We see perfect cylindrical holes, like someone with a tubular thing went in and out, and we see the spin, and we can actually tell you the rate of spin.
Really? Of
what it took to do that, which would take a diamond level cut saw to do this at that speed. And like they're saying that two people with a string and a like a piece of wood went back and forth. But like we're talking about like 100, 200 rotations a second. This is not possible.
No.
Not with the way that. All right, so we've also seen different cuts that are like actually straight cut slabs, but they go off, and they just stopped and left that shit.
Well, exactly. That's
they just walked away.
Did something happen where they veered off just the smallest?
Most likely.
Like, can't use that one anymore. We've got to move on.
Most likely. There was like imperfections. Everything they do is perfection.
Right. They didn't believe in imperfections.
There's nothing about those pyramids that are not perfect.
Which is bizarre. I mean,
well, except for like the degradation that's taken place and the people who've ruined it along the time. But other than that, like there is no imperfections to how they built these things.
I mean, and some theories suggest, how long have they been here?
I mean, mainstream science says, 4,000 to 7,000 years they were built. I would say minimum 12,000 years. Minimum. Yeah. The older I get, dude, the longer I would say maybe 300,000-400,000 years. Maybe 1 million years.
Right, and
there's really, because the problem is the material it's made out of, it's indefinite. It's not made out of anything that can't last forever.
Right.
And I literally can last forever.
One of the points to building it with what they built it with. But
correct.
The other, of course.
And talk about sustainability and caring about the earth. These motherfuckers put us to shame.
A little bit.
They saw solar panels and said, dude, y'all are stupid. We're going straight to the source. Rock.
I mean,
we're just going to build this shit out of rock.
Using material from the planet to build this massive...
And that's the thing, though, is like, well, then what do they build it for if it's not a tomb?
Theories. What do we got? So...
God, what are the major theories besides my theory?
Why would it have been a tomb in the first place?
Dude.
Like, mind-blowing when you actually think about everything that went into it to build them. Just for, what, one... How many
one
tombs?
person?
How many tombs?
I guess they have a king's chamber and a queen's chamber.
That would blow my mind. Just to think about. Yeah, no.
Which those rooms are insane. They have, like, sound resonance, a bit like... You can say certain frequencies of sound in there, and you can really get that shit to echo and channel. And the way it's been stacked into like a pyramidal shape going upward, and like all the things, and the way that the granite has been smoothed and everything. And it's like, they're like highly resonant chambers.
The chambers go into a pyramidic.
They have like
that's cool.
They layer into like an upside down stairs. Yeah, it's like an upside down stairs that they built.
Cool.
That you would see going upward.
Okay, so if they're not tombs, let's talk about some theories of what they actually could be.
Okay.
What's your first theory that after you decided they weren't tombs, right? Mm-hmm. After you were like, no, they're not tombs. What was your first theory of this could be what they are? What did you go down?
Honestly, I don't know if I've ever believed anything but something electrical. I don't know if I can... I thought, all right. I remember there was a theory for a while, which I still have a feeling that they could be related to this, and there's like something to this still, would be that they were irrigation systems. And that all they were really doing was taking water from the Nile and pumping it out into, which technically they're ram pumps. They can pump water upwards and into a higher elevated area. They can do this. We know this. So at that point, I thought for a while, okay, well, this thing's probably just an irrigation system to flush the land with greenery, and now you can start doing farming and agricultural in this area. And these are just giant ecosystem builders. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still could be... I'm not too on that theory anymore. I think there's too much evidence behind the electrical part. And I know people think that's like crazy as shit because it's made out of stone and rock and all this like granite and all.
That's impossible.
That's impossible. Okay, I've done the research on this one. Every piece of stone and rock that has ever been used across the board is very electrical specific. They all have electrical properties that are specific to a role that they're playing. And then every piece that was placed in an area that it was placed in plays the role it should play in that area.
Like perfectly methodically thought out.
Yeah, I mean, this was not by accident.
What all types of rock were used? All types of stone.
There's two main ones, which is the limestone casing stones, which are limestone outside stones. Those are the ones on the outside. Okay. So they use a lot of limestone. All right. And those have electrical properties of insulation. So they don't conduct electricity. They keep it locked in. They are not able, nothing can trade, electricity doesn't go through it. So they can keep all the electrical properties locked in. They're an insulator. All right. So now everything going on inside of it can now be closed in and harnessed.
Right.
Essentially. Yeah. And then granite, typically by itself, granite's really not. It's just very strong. Structurally, it's very tough and strong. But they happen to use very specific quartz granite from Aswan. And this is like very rare, very high electrical properties because the quartz within the granite can conduct electrical properties. And then when you put granite with it, you have very high, strong structure because crystal can break. You put a lot of pressure on these quartz, crystals, and you can break those, but they're within the granite. And then there's so much of it that enough pressure on the granite can then create essentially a electrical effect from all the quartz within it that all combine. Because when electrical fields meet, they grow.
Oh.
So when you have a ton of them all in there, all exerting, they'll all become just one big field.
That's so cool.
They'll all morph.
So they turn into one.
It's just one. And that's why I say one granite box is a cell. It's a battery cell creating this field of energy. And then you've got a bunch of them
The tombs, right?
The tombs would be the cell of the battery, and then you got a bunch of them, and then what happens when those cells come together? You got a big fucking energy source now. So the baby ones combine, the big ones combine. Now you got one giant fucking battery looking thing. So it's some kind of battery, or it's probably maybe a capacitor, something that takes in a charge and then will release it. Capacitors are cool as shit in my head, because like that's what Tesla used for a lot of his shit. You bring in an electrical charge, and then it's like a little mini battery that just holds a charge until it will disperse it out.
On your timing, how do you think the dispersion of
you can do this on a timed basis, or allow it to do it on its own? So it can get up to a certain threshold. Once it hits the threshold, disperse. Which is great, because if you need 3 volts, well then it gets half a volt, 2 volts, 3 volts release.
Cool.
Or you just have it on a time where it gets a charge and you can release it or whatever. There's different ways to build these things, but that would be kind of an idea to me. It's like they had these whole chambers where they could close it off, these like tunnels out of the king's chamber and out of the queen's chamber where these sarcophaguses are. They had these tunnels all the way out going outside, but they had these. This is really where it's weird, because they have these they put these cameras up into the tunnels and started going up into them, okay? Yeah. And they found that they had these blocks, these limestone blocks that were blocking them with iron handles.
Whoa, really?
Built into them. Iron handles.
So they could move?
Yeah, they could move these things in and out. That way, the way I see that is like you close it, now you're containing the capacitor.
Yeah.
You contain the charge, open that bitch up, boom, that shit's gonna fucking.
What's flying out, you think? Is it an electrical charge?
Look, if Nikola Tesla went there and decided to design the Wardenclyffe Tower out of that,
right,
and then he said that the Wardenclyffe Tower could exert a wireless energy charge into the ionosphere and he could transfer that around the world, well, then what the fuck do you think those pyramids were doing? I think they do more than that, but I think that's like a core base part of this.
Like global energy?
Yeah, it was a global energy system. Yes.
Which, you know.
Which is what he was building. He proved he could do it. And everything that's designed around his Wardenclyffe Tower, every fucking piece of it, it was an 8-sided pyramid with a top on it that had an underground portion too.
Wait, the pyramids are 4-sided.
Pyramids are 8-sided. Actually, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the biggest one, is an 8-sided pyramid. Whoa. Which is a wild thing that many people don't realize, is that it actually, if you go on Google Earth and you go look down at it and you zoom in close enough, you can see that there are actually 8 sides of that bitch. And so he made his 8-sided, and there's an antenna into the ground, and he already said what it can do, and he mimicked it all off of...
Wait. There's an antenna in the ground, but the pyramids don't have an antenna in the ground. What are you talking about?
And that's the part where we think we have discovered the antennas in the ground. And those bitches seem to go a mile into the ground.
A mile?
A mile, dude, if they're right.
How do you... Thinking of when we think these were built, how do you go a mile into the ground?
Yeah, that's
putting an antenna in there.
Look, man, these slaves could dig deep, dude.
You're right.
They could dig deep. They could dig deep, yeah.
Who am I kidding?
Which is funny, because we have pictures of the Sphinx in 1850, 1860 is like the first photos we have of the Sphinx that I've seen, and it's totally covered by sand. Up all the way to its head.
The head.
All the way to the head.
Yeah.
And you can see the pyramids in the background have sand going up their base that we've clearly excavated out.
Yeah.
So we have not been around these things for a long time. We've come across them. No. They've clearly been dug into the sand and stuff, but like, I think it's way deeper. You know, like if they really do go a mile into the sand, and then you look at the different parts of the stone and how it's been destroyed over time by different natural elements, then it's like, man, those things are way older than we think they are. And there is scientific evidence that someone has gone to the Sphinx and they actually did an analysis of the stone of the side, and they have came to the conclusion that the only way that the stone on the side could have looked the way it looks today is if it had runoff water damage, meaning lots of rain. And that period of time only existed pre-12,000 years ago in Egypt.
Just rain?
Just rain. Because a lot of runoff, you see the little pass of the water.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so you would have had to have a lot of... We're talking about a shit ton of rain, dude. Like shit ton to do this to limestone.
Like nonstop rain almost?
Thousands of years.
Just okay, over
A lot of time. That's not like 100 years. That's
Right.
like thousands of years of this shit going on.
And we built these pyramids how long ago?
Like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. And we've never had rain in that area. It's all desert.
Right. So the math isn't.
It's not jiving. But you go back and then, all right. So then here's what I discovered. And I said, okay, now I truly believe those things are 12,000 years or older. Okay. This was the one thing I learned that I feel like you cannot run from. But like, of course, you could just make up bullshit, in my opinion. Well, the 3 pyramids are aligned to the belt of Orion. All right? I'm pretty sure, right? I think it's those 3 stars. Anyways, all right, I can look this up later. I get things confused sometimes when I'm talking these circumstances. But they're aligned perfectly, the 3 stars, okay, above them.
Right, yeah.
Except they're not.
What?
They're off by just a little bit.
Well, that would have to go along with how long they've been there, when they got built, when they were placed under the stars, right?
And we know that everything about these motherfuckers, sorry for my language, is perfection. This is not something they would have messed up on, right? Like, you are perfectly level. You're perfectly north. You're perfect to every degree we can analyze with our modern technology. Like, you are perfection, guys.
Yeah. They wouldn't have messed that part up.
You don't mess that one up.
So have we done the math on how long it would have taken those stars to unalign themselves from pyramids?
They enter perfect alignment 12,000 years ago.
Perfect alignment was 12,000 years ago.
Everything says they're 12,000 years or older. Everything. I don't know. Everything just starts to point to that.
I don't think you have to look any further than alignment, period.
That's what I said.
That's literally, that's
what I said.
Is the alignment
that's what
to
I
the stars. Because
yes.
that it's the answer. Yeah. It has to be.
That's the celestial time.
Yeah.
That's the universal time. Because when you look at how our time was set up, where it comes from, people don't think about like, well, why do we do 60 seconds? Why do we do 60 minutes? Why is it base 60 for our time? But then we do base 10. Where did it come from? Why is it so correlated? Because it all comes from space. It's all universal to the universe.
Yep.
There's like 3 different parts to our Earth that define the time. We spin on an axis, and it takes 24 hours to do one spin. We orbit around the sun. It takes 365 to do that. So that's 2 of them. And then we wobble. We're doing this circular wobble. It takes 26,000 years to do that one. Just one time. Those 3 numbers are ingrained into our time. And then you go look at the pyramids, they're ingrained into these numbers too. They use 144 blocks, the golden ratios, the degrees, everything they did is just like perfection, right? So then you can't look at the way they would have then chosen to do the stars and say, they were just off.
Right. They just didn't know.
That was the one they just didn't get right.
Fine.
So I can't do it. I heard that one and found that out and said, well, that is like fact now. Then let's tack it on. Okay. The Egyptians have never once stated in anything they've ever done that they ever built them.
Wait, they didn't actually claim that they built these
never
things?
claimed they built them. They never said how, that they did it, or what they did. In fact, they alluded more in all their stories and all their stuff that they were given all of this. That they came upon it, they were given to them. Thoth came and gave it to them. People, other deities came and gave them, or they came across it already there.
Whoa.
They never claimed to have built it. Find out where they said it and come challenge me on it.
I'd be curious.
Because I haven't found it yet.
If you can find that, I would see it.
I would love to see. Hey, anything I say, if you can challenge me on it, by all means, I will change my opinion.
We would actually appreciate.
I would love for you to show me I'm wrong, so that I can change. I will come on here immediately. I will show you that I'm wrong, and I'll show you what the new one is, and I will start going down that road from then on. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to just find it. So if you think I'm wrong, bring it. Please bring me the evidence, because everything I say, I can back up in some form or fashion.
Yep.
I may not be doing it right here, right now, which we do plan on doing some episodes where we're going to show you things. We're going to let you see some of the stuff that has been uncovered to show a lot of these correlations. It all started with the pyramids.
It really did.
That's where it all began.
That's what that's where everything seems to be lining up with the pyramids, which
It's the biggest. It is the greatest lie. It is the greatest lie, because when you uncover that, you uncover everything they don't want you to uncover.
Yeah. Which, I mean, first things first, free energy, planetary energy.
That's number one.
Why do you think Tesla stopped being important?
He figured it out.
Figured it out, and they were like,
killed his ass.
about that.
Yeah. And no, we're not doing that shit, dude.
Yeah.
And then they use all this technology today.
Right.
They use
but
it all.
They just charge us for it. You know, it's fine.
Like, yeah, you break us from the energy grid. You have taken, you've unshackled the human race. It's the idea of like,
right.
Imagine you could have a box that powered your whole house for free. Just a little box. And people think like, oh, that's, like that. This is possible. This is absolutely possible.
Right.
The physics are there. Like, I've looked into the science of this. The science is there. It can be done. And I can like, I'm trying to make ways to let people understand this idea that like it's always there.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get better at the analogies of like letting people see it, but like it is like, it's all there. The energy's there. We just got to learn how to tap into it.
And that's what it is. That's what you're just tapping into that energy.
We are not generating energy.
Never have been. Never will.
Hey, law of thermodynamics. You cannot create nor destroy anything.
That's
Any
exactly
energy.
what I was
That
thinking.
energy cannot be created or destroyed. And I actually believe that.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be. I think it can just be transferred around.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way a water turns into a gas, into a solid. It just converts into some shit, And we're like, oh, it's a gas. It's gone now. Disintegrated. That is not how that shit works. You burn wood. Burning wood turns into like multiple shit.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It turns into some kind of heat that turns into like some kind of chemical smoke, and then it turns into like some kind of charred material, and then like it goes into a bunch of different ways.
I never thought about that with fire. How many different elements
dude.
it turns into, how many different things it morphs into. It's like, whoa.
You're watching fucking live stream of some kind of alchemy going on. And that's another part of this is like when you start understanding all of this, alchemy is more than possible. Shit, we do that shit all day, every day already.
What's alchemy?
The ability to turn one element into another element.
Oh.
It's like the golden, kind of what everybody was after was, besides the Philosopher's Stone, but like really was like turning everything into gold. Could we turn something into gold? Like theoretically, yeah, you can. Because when you start breaking down what all this shit really is and what we are and whatever, yes, you could do any of this.
Speaking of gold, on the pyramids, was there a gold cap on it at one point, and why?
This is tough.
Because weren't they supposed to be white or something like that at some point too?
Well, there was an outer layer to them,
like limestone.
Yes, and actually, it's like written, documented evidence that it was there like up until the 1800s, until some assholes came and fucking destroyed the rest of it. Like there was still a lot of signs of it.
Assholes.
Yeah, with some thieves came in and ruined all of it and stole it. And now you can actually find parts of it around Egypt, built into structures and in a few museums. Yes.
Wait, find what?
This old no. There was a like some kind of like super nice white crystal limestone outer casing.
Okay. So
that was the rest of it was destroyed off of that vandalized. Yeah. And then you now find it throughout the city. They built it into the structures and they put it up for a museum. Yeah. Oh. So that was really shitty. But like the tops of them all disappeared. No one's ever had documented evidence of there being a top.
Okay. So where
so they would have been gone for a long time if they were there. Now, at the same time, I would say that if Tesla has anything to do with this, then he put a conductive dome top.
Okay. What was his made out of? Do you know?
Shit, it would either have been silver, aluminum, or gold, but it wasn't gold, so it would have been probably like aluminum of some kind. Maybe aluminum and silver are kind of like the two conductive materials people really like to use for a lot of shit, especially aluminum.
Yeah.
I find out aluminum's like way more heavily used than we think it is. Silver's just super good at conducting electricity, and gold's like the standard. Because gold doesn't ever rot. It doesn't ever rust away and decay and shit. Like, it's fucking forever, dude. Which is wild. Yeah. So at that point, it most likely would have been of a conductive material.
Okay.
That's all I would, and his was designed as like a donut toroidal dome and conductive. And I think that was because he was harnessing radiant energy as well.
Really?
Yeah, I think there was more to this. I don't, plus the shape defines how your shit comes and goes.
Yeah.
So like a round version or a square or circle, spirals, like these all matter on how the signal gets sent and how it receives. So you can even play with this radio right here, and you can take an antenna like this one right here. And if you're facing it like this, you can get a signal, and then you do this, and you'll get a whole new signal.
Yeah, right.
And that's just like, because it's coming in this way. Now it's coming in this way. Right? And so the antenna handles this differently. And there's it's like, are you perpendicular to the waves? Are you parallel with them? Like, there's all these different ways you would have to then interpret the waves coming into you. And then, like, what kind of waves? Are they sine waves? Are they triangular waves? This is all a very big deal. So the way you would design all of this becomes look, shape fucking matters.
Yeah, right.
If sacred geometry taught me shit, it is shape matters. The shape of anything you do, especially electrical, like, now it becomes like uber important. If you're going to do electrical and magnetic shit, then now shape becomes everything.
How'd you discover that? How'd you discover shape is everything almost? Like, it is what changes.
So like a pyramid, all power goes up to a point and is like intensified. We know this. That's like a studied thing.
Okay.
And then when you go and you look at like something like this, which is like really weird, okay? If you go ask Google right now, is there a shape that is a perfect circle, a perfect square, and a perfect triangle in one? It will tell you fucking no. I'm pretty sure it doesn't tell you. Now, I could be wrong now. Maybe it does now. But like, it doesn't really want you to know that there is a shape that is a perfect circle, a perfect square, and a perfect triangle in one.
Does it depend on the way it moves? How does it?
This is it. So when you look at it like this, perfect circle.
Oh.
Perfect triangle. Right? Now, if you take it and you put it up to a light and you look at it, you'll see the square.
Literally.
It's a perfect square as well.
Yep.
So it's all three in one. This came from Tesla.
I was gonna ask, where did you discover the shape? Why is
this is where it all led me to. This is really what started the sacred geometry route, is because ultimately Tesla apparently gave this to a guy named Otis Carr. Otis Carr claimed this shape right here is the key. Okay, so then I started discovering that, shape obviously matters, and the frequency of things. Like, we can get deep into that one, and I don't really want to get into that too much right now, but ultimately for this right here is that when you create electromagnetic field, the field is defined by the shape to a certain degree, and then if you spin it, you can start warping the field, and then the shape plus the spin. Oh, now you got some fun happening. So, like, for something like this, it points up and down. So the energy will go that direction, right? Well, then if you spin it as well, I've seen signs on YouTube of people playing with this device.
Oh?
Yes, that I can show, that we can have a show and tell day for this one.
That'd be fun.
Because this is like very to the pyramids. This is why I think the pyramids are shaped the way they are and are electrical in a sense as well, is that they point to the top. You spin these things. Now they're showing in these videos that he was putting a voltmeter above and below the spin of it as he put an electric charge into it. He covered the thing with aluminum. then had it spin, and then he just put 2 conductive brushes on each side of it to conduct the electricity through it. That's all. He just made it a connection point. Whoa. Okay? And then he spun the bitch really fast, and he put a voltmeter above it, and he had 3 volts going in, 13 coming out.
Really?
He had more coming out of it now than he had going into it. And this is where this starts to come into play, is that the shape matters. Spin matters. What materials you use, what magnets, ferromagnets, natural magnets internally. That's where I'm going to take a ferromagnet, put it inside of it. I'm then going to close it in, and I'm going to wrap a coil around the whole thing. And then I'm going to conduct an electric charge through it. And now you've created an electromagnet. And then you spin the bitch, because that's why you put the brushes, so it can spin. Otherwise, the wires will get tangled, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you just lay a brush on it that's conductive, and it spins. They'll start spinning. And, dude, this is where weird shit starts to happen. And this is where, like, why would the shape matter? Why does all this matter? How does Tesla know this shit? How would he have known this shit? And then, like, you try to find out more about this little guy, and that's, like, really hard to do, dude.
You're like, it doesn't exist, though.
And, like, what's the 3 most basic shapes? A circle, a triangle, and a square.
Yeah.
It's all in one. Everything comes... This is, like, sacred geometry in a fucking shape. That's why I had my friend 3D build these for me. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. He had these 3D made for me so that I could play with them. And I'm going... You'll see a setup coming. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. I already have it all drawn out. A lot of the plans for all the things that I'm trying to go with this, because I really want to test out a lot of this stuff. Is this real? Is it not? I don't know. You know,
we could technically find out. Yes, especially with the knowledge that you have. I feel like you could.
I hope. I'm getting there.
Right. I feel like you could figure out whether or not it works.
That's the goal. I'm very theoretical at the moment, and everything's theoretical. But like, I want to go to the applied side now.
Knowing you, I feel like you dive into it for hours on end until you figure out how it works.
I do. It's like, I'll go fucking weeks if I have to.
Bro, Chazz, haven't seen you in like 2 months.
Yeah, dude.
I have been working nonstop on this.
I call it the hole. Yep. I'm like, I've been in my hole.
Real deep.
You know, like, you just let it go for a little bit. I do. I can't help it. Like, when I'm on something, it's like ADHD, man. It's like perfectly pinpointed to it. I hyper focus in on shit, and I cannot stop until I figured it out. So, like, even if I don't know what the fuck this thing, I'm like, fuck it. I don't care if I don't know. Let's go figure it out. And so I do know.
Yep.
You know? And so, like, the pyramids, I've sat there. I've gone through each stone. I've gone through the dimensions of it. What every piece of that damn thing I can get my hands on. Every book, every research paper, every single historical document, I have it all that I can get my hands on. Every image of the historical inside of it, dimensions, Doppler fucking radar scans. I don't care. I've got it. I'm trying to get it. I want to know more. Those things are life's mystery. It's the only wonder of the world still left, and there's a reason why they don't want us to know shit about it.
It will change everything. Yeah. I mean, the history, for one, like our entire history will have to be rewritten, basically.
Yeah, because it really then led me to kind of come to more of a closing aspect of this, in a sense of like, well, obviously we can go way deeper into a lot of this shit, but like that will then open you up into understanding that, oh my God, if we can't really do that, and that is an ancient thing that was built beyond our time, pre 12,000 years ago, well, then you start looking at the other structures globally, the other quarries globally. Most people don't realize we find these fucking quarries with these giant 1,500-ton blocks being quarried out of them, and we just don't, no one knows about them. No one knows about the quarries in China. That Sheng whatever quarry in China is insane. The way they have just straight out of granite, they have just like cut blocks straight through the whole thing, like a tunnel all the way through. And then they just like sliced a piece right through the middle, and now there's just like a hallway through two of these giant mountain, you know, like it's wild what they have done.
Okay,
it's wild.
So imagine it's this ancient civilization that has
This was-
technology. I'm curious.
They were global. They were
what
global.
Do you think? Right. They
They
had
were
to
global.
have been.
I can show it to you, dude. When we go through my Google Earth project, I will show this to you. It is a global civilization.
It's a global phenomenon.
It
man.
surely was.
What device or technology do you think they were able to use to cut out these gigantic stones? Like it had to be something. It had to be something that we have no concept of.
I know. I don't know. You know, it's like,
no theories or anything?
Two of my best theories would be either plasma or sound. Vibration will fuck shit up. We know this. We know we can do levitation with vibration. We know we can do all kinds of things with vibration. Vibration is electromagnetism's brother. They are very in tuned with each other. And in fact, you can create electrical signals and electromagnetic signals through vibration, and you can receive them and turn them into vibration, and we can harness electricity this way. So they're very entwined. So in my mind, this is like a very possible reality that I've never seen come to fruition. I've seen things get lifted, but cut with sound.
I was just about to ask, do you think sound could cut? Or maybe they had, plasma and sound.
That's my next one. Would be plasma. That or like a superheating. Like you look at some of the boulders from around the world, because I've tried to analyze not just the pyramid boulders and the pyramid granite and the blocks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's a ton there, and like between Osiris and the pyramids, like there's tons that you can look at. Okay, but I've then gone to Petra, where they built it into the mountain. I've shown you this.
Yeah.
They literally just built the damn structures into a side of a mountain. All over the place. Not like one structure. It's like dozens of these that are like 3 stories tall. It's insane what they have done there. Okay. Then I go to Japan. I go to Peru. And I obviously didn't go there, but I've been searching these things up. All right. So China, Angkor Wat in India and Indonesia, in that area. You go into Turkey with Darren Kuyu, and you go into England with Stonehenge, and they actually have multiple Stonehenges around the world. We've got a Stonehenge in England. We have a Stonehenge in Africa. We have a Stonehenge in Australia that are all known and found. Then we have another one that we have found under the water in America that they won't release it yet. They've shown some pictures of it, but they won't show us where it is.
You said in America?
In America. It's in Lake Michigan.
Really? In Michigan, Lake Michigan.
Which is weird because I'll show you the project where I have found an island that points to two. It points directly to Africa and Australia's Stonehenge, and then directly to Lake Michigan.
Curious.
Wonder where it's pointing to.
And I bet you anything, we're not going to go looking for it.
Nah, hell no.
No one's going to know about it.
No, they won't. No, they found it like 10 years ago.
Drop it.
They won't tell anybody. And the guy who found it, you can't find his shit anymore. I tried to email the dude. I couldn't. You cannot, dude. Good luck, man.
Oh, did he disappear?
It's like he's there, but like I can't. Every email I send is like return to sender email. You know what I'm saying? Like this
exists, but doesn't. It's fine. Yeah.
There it is. The guy. I try to cut down all the leads.
Yeah. Right.
I try. Like I'm not perfect. I miss a lot of shit, and something that I just get lazy on. But like. I tried to go find this guy to go ask him. I literally sent him images of what I had put together, but like everything just gets sent back to me. I can't find out how to reach the guy so that I just be like, yo, just give me the lat long so I can just point my shit to it so my lines are right. That's all I really want because I've come to realize that if you start pointing things on Google Earth with a line, you will inherently run into more shit. So like, all these things are pointing to shit.
You show me a lot of it, and they really do. They just keep lining up globally.
It's really weird how many things I believe I have solved that we don't think we understand.
Yeah.
Like the Karnak stones. These 500-ton stones sitting in this farm that are just perfectly all lined into straight lines. And everybody's like, oh, burial.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Burial. Must be a burial. Never found shit here, but it's got to be a fucking burial. And it's like, ancient. Jesus, man,
Literally.
But like, then I come in and I'm just following lines, dude. I just make lines and follow them. And then I'm like, oh shit, dude, those Karnak stones are lat longs. Then I fucking burials or whatever you guys think they are. I don't know what you think they are, but they're not. They're lat longs.
So all of these phenomenon, stones and things just lined up across the planet. Why? What do you think they are doing?
I think there's two parts to this. One, you come somewhere and you map it. Number two, how do you keep that map there for fucking ever?
Even with cataclysms and things like that?
You know there's cataclysms. Not only that, but like that moon that we have, strange how it stabilizes us as well as it does, and it's crucial to our life, and we have to have it. And it's also weird how it doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense when you start diving deeper into it.
Right.
But that's another story. But like, yes, I would say that they came here, they mapped our place, especially when you look at the Nazca lines and you look at Peru and that whole just insane geoglyphic area of like spirals and spiders and like triangles everywhere and rose markers, and somehow it's perfectly aligned with Angkor Wat, and like not just perfect, like it's perfectionly lined up.
Perfection.
It's really weird.
And you can't see any of that from the ground necessarily, right?
No.
That's an aerial.
We did not discover any of that until the 1920s or 30s when we flew over it in a plane. And someone was like, what the fuck is all that down there?
What's that writing?
Yeah, and when we asked the natives...
What farmers doing that?
That's, dude, yes. I mean, this is like, I feel like, yeah, that's like how it was. And like the natives of the area used to think some of the bigger mounds that were kind of in the middle of nowhere were like religiously, of course they're religious, but like some religious offering. So they would go and they would do offerings there and shit, you know? But like, no one really knew that these giant spirals and spiders and fishes and shapes that are wildly electrical and alien looking.
I wonder why the animals, like why the shapes of animals and things like spiders, fishes.
I don't know, dude. The lines that like go back and forth in the spirals, because like you made me realize it with one of these. You see how you have a spiral right there?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the spiral's probably talking about. It's a fucking antenna. Most of these antennas are spirals, and maybe that's kind of, it's like, I keep thinking it's got to be all electrical based. So these all got to be like electrical symbols. Electrical symbols like look like alien symbols to a certain degree. Like just look at those damn things and you're like,
Even Semitic patterns look like alien symbols when you don't know what they are. Everything is alien until you know what it is.
Yeah.
Until it's familiar to your eyes, it's alien.
It's just alien. And those shapes and everything, and I just think, yeah, maybe. You know, like, it just, look, man, it's all weird. You go around the world and you look at all the ancient structures that have these stones. Like, these stones are... they're like perfectly placed in ways they're molded together in ways that like they make them earthquake proof. Yeah. So the ones in Japan, they have like the key lock shapes. It's really strange. They have them all over the place. Yeah. All these if you go look at like Japan's where their emperor lives or whatever, it's built on top of one of these structures. They just took the base of these giant ancient boulder stones that are like bigger than... dude, they're fucking huge. You see some person standing next to it, and it's just this wall, you know? And it's like, what the... They built it on top of all of that for a reason. It's because these things are insanely... you can't destroy them. We can't destroy them.
That's impressive.
Earthquakes can't destroy them. I would bet a mile-high tsunami probably can't even do some of it.
Which would be cataclysm proof almost, right? Like,
look at those pyramids. Those pyramids, as old as I say they are, they've been through cataclysms.
Right. How many years do we have a cataclysm? What's the theory?
Oh shit, it's every like
couple thousand. Okay.
I want to say every 13 to 20,000 years. I have it written down. I've got it all mapped out and timed.
So, oh wait, when was our last cataclysm? When did that happen?
That's the question.
The pyramids, were they right after a cataclysm?
I think we had the last major... well, all right, so like, what is the cataclysm?
It depends, right.
You know,
are they multiple
that's
different?
Another problem is like, I think the real resets are the pole shifts.
The real cataclysm?
That's the one that like everybody just dies.
Yeah.
Like, you pretty much have like 1,000 people left.
Yeah.
At best.
Enough to repopulate.
Underground, and they come out of the mountains in the ground, and they're like, all right, I guess let's start. Toth, come down, please.
Hello,
Toth. Noah, where are you, Noah? You know, like that's... I think that was about 12,000 years ago. All evidence shows that whatever took place 12,000 years ago was insanely devastating to this planet on a level we cannot comprehend. Like the woolly mammoths.
Yeah.
that were just found in Siberia insta-death. So fast that it preserved the food in their mouth.
You mean frozen, right?
Frozen solid instantly. Instantly. The hair. The food in their mouth. Everything's preserved perfectly. And the only way you could do that is by insta-freeze. The same way we do flash freezing for food.
Right.
There's a reason for that. Because if you freeze something too slowly, you will cause crystals to form on the cells that will then break the cell and kill it. So if you flash freeze, it does it so fast, you no longer create those cells or those crystals, and you will no longer damage it. And that's the problem that we have with cryogenically freezing humans.
Oh, okay.
If you were to freeze us too slowly, you will fucking kill us.
It has to be instantaneous.
And then if you want to unfreeze us, you got to do the same thing and respond.
It's not a slowly unfreeze
I don't
process?
think so. I think you got to do. I could be wrong on this one, but you've got to make sure that this unfreezing. Now, I'm pretty sure actually with the fish thing, because you can unthaw fish and they'll come back to life.
Really?
We know this. You can freeze a fish fast enough that then you can unfreeze it and it'll start to come back to life. And
How long does it take to unfreeze it before it starts coming back to
that
life?
one, it can thaw out.
Really?
So you might be right on this one. Yeah, I need to look more into that one. I think it can thaw. I think you can thaw. Now, I don't know, dude, because like what happens to your brain when it's thawing?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man.
We've got so many like.
So half your brain's thawed out and the other half's still thawing, you know? Like, I don't, this is weird.
I would assume it has to be an all-encompassing thawing. It has to happen at the exact same time. It can't be like
there has to be like a leveled heating system going on.
It would have to be. It would have to be very
Pump through
precise
your blood,
style.
almost.
Yeah.
You know, like a heat blood transfer. I don't know, dude. It's weird. But this is a problem, okay? And so you got to so like to have these woolly mammoths to literally be frozen that fast. What the and like dead instantly.
Right.
Apparently it's under like muck.
What do you mean?
Chaotic muck. Dirt, mud, trees, just shit. Just muck.
Whoa.
Just layered on top of them. Something catastrophic and chaotic came across them very quickly.
A pole shift would do that? Like you would.
There's a lot of debate on this one, but from everything I understand, you pole shift, you are creating essentially 1,000 mile an hour tsunami and wind gust throughout the whole planet. You cannot survive this.
Yeah.
Your body would be ripped apart into pieces. So if you're not underground in like a Derinkuyu or that cave I found in Indonesia, or there's caves all over the effing world. We got caves that they have locked down in the Grand Canyon that we're not allowed to touch. Where most of our mummies come from. But we'll get to that in another episode. But like that's a big deal to me. It's like that. I think that's what caused the cataclysm probably 12,000 years ago. Maybe, you know, and I think we're going to have another one of those in the next 500 to 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You know, and then I think there are miniature ones that take place in regional areas that are not pole shifts. They just something happens. So maybe a meteor hits or some shit goes down.
Yeah, like
You know,
like an unnatural. Like
a volcano goes off.
Would that be a natural cataclysm?
It's a natural cataclysm.
What would the pole shift? I feel like the pole shift would be the most natural.
It is a natural.
cataclysm.
It's a natural cataclysm too. It's just,
Flood or a meteor would be an unnatural cataclysm. Yeah.
I still look at that as natural because it's it's like not someone intervening. No one did anything to do this. It's just natural materials interacting with each other based on gravity and shit. You know what I'm saying? So like at that point,
This happens to enter your
this shit just happens.
Yeah.
So they're natural causes. We nuke the planet.
unnatural.
Unnatural.
Okay.
That is not a natural cause.
'cause
we have intervened now with the natural state of things.
Right.
That would be kind of where I come from. So like, you know, Pompeii with the volcano, things like that. Those are natural, isolated regional events that take place.
Yeah.
And then you can have a global reset that takes place. And that's why it's hard to find evidence of our history. We find like one fossil from one of our human ancestors 300,000 years ago. And people are like, why don't we find more? Why don't we ever find more?
Just go and find it.
You know, and it's like, well, actually, if you think about it, everything that we use in our daily lives, if we just walked away right now, we would have nothing existing within 500 to 1,000 years. Because within 1,000 years, this would all rust away.
Yeah.
It's rusting away right now. It's trying to dissolve away right now. So 1,000 years, it would just disintegrate away.
Right.
People don't think about this.
The only thing you can preserve something on is stone.
Stone.
Literally is stone.
Stone. Limestone, granite, these bitches last forever.
I wonder where all of our internet things go. Like anything computer-wise, I wonder if it's going and if it can ever be recovered. Say something did happen to the planet, but everything is stored online at this point, right? Everything.
Except for they're now starting to come up with new storage devices. They stored... This is kind of just weird to me. They stored data in a plant. Yeah.
In a plant.
In a plant. Now, the coolest one to me, though, the one that I think has the most promise is that they are now starting to store data in crystals.
That's cool.
And they say they can store an insane fucking amount, and it can be forever.
And you can... I wonder if that's already a thing. Like if we have data stored in crystals,
yeah,
from ancient times ago.
That's kind of what I think is like. I've thought about this.
You just have to harness it somehow.
I'm like, shit, I would like to write down shit and make it save forever. Like, just play the game in your head for a minute. How would you write something that someone could then read in 1,000 years? Okay, well, go right on.
Right, because if it's on the internet, you can't find it unless you know it's there. Or if it's in a crystal, you can't find it unless you know it's there.
Is the internet even going to be there in 1,000 years?
Well, right. Does it go out into just like this etheric realm where you can actually harness it and like tune into that channel? Or is it literally just on our computers and it doesn't actually exist anywhere other than our drives?
It's a problem with my notebook.
What do you mean?
If you look at my notebooks over here, they're all physical.
Correct. And they will be
forever
gone.
Be there.
Well, unless...
in my lifetime.
Sure, yeah.
This is all just a digital chip. That one chip goes, it all goes.
Mm-hmm.
EMP. I drop it in some water.
Yeah. So it's not here. It doesn't exist out there, right?
They both have their own pros and cons in my head.
Yeah.
Both one equally flawed. That's why the Sumerians wrote on fucking stone tablets.
Not because that's all they had. Because they knew
it
would survive.
It can fucking survive.
Yeah.
Because sacred geometry taught me there is a universal language, which means that if you wanted to pass something on, you got to figure out how to not only preserve the message 1,000 years, preserve the language.
Right.
Of what's been told 1,000 years.
That's impossible.
Correct.
Unless
there was a universal language. And that's kind of where I think like electricity has so much to do with this universal language. And I say that for two reasons. One, because of electromagnetic frequencies and everything we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
With all the cymatics and all that bullshit. But then at the same time, I think someone's been putting me on this journey for a long time for electricity. Why?
Interesting.
Why do they want me to know about electricity? And then you look at electricity and you're like, that shit's so fundamental to the universe. Like electricity is like the ether itself. That's how I see it. It's like you're just like ripping into the ether, or you're moving it so fast that the force of it gives you electrical charge.
Whoa.
You know?
Yeah.
But like lightning would just be like ripping that bitch open.
Lightning's so cool.
Yeah, it is so wild. So like, yeah, I just feel like there's something to all of this. The universal language, energy, those pyramids, the stone work, it all is all tied.
Yeah.
There's all something here.
I think there's a reason you're being pushed into the energetic realm and like really to dive deep into electricity and things like that and really figure out the truth about it. I think it'll open the door to so much more. I think so. The truth about so much more.
I guess I hope so. Because it's one of those things where it's like, I never really planned on electricity taking me into a universal language in shapes.
Yeah.
Or any of this shit, actually.
Did you even believe there was a universal language before?
No, I didn't even believe in any of this shit, actually.
What?
That's back when I believed in electrons, you know? Like, this whole idea to me would have been like crazy, and I would have been like, dude, this is all nuts, man. Like, you're fucking nuts. Dude, electricity is just like water flowing through a pipe. Yeah. And that's just not true. And that's why, to me, They keep peddling that idea. You don't know what the pyramids are. And then anybody who learns about electricity and then starts hearing about the potential of the pyramids, you're like, crackpot.
Yeah.
Crackpot.
Don't listen to him.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter's trying to tell me how the pyramids work. You know, like, that's the type of shit I get, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, but when you then understand that it's very simple. AC versus DC. AC, they just wiggle the electrons back and forth. That's it. They just wiggle them back and forth. Okay, so the electrons don't go anywhere. No, they just wiggle back and forth. So you're telling me that you turn on AC power and miles away, you've wiggled electrons, but you never sent them to me. You never moved them anywhere. You never moved them from A to B. But somehow you've been able to wiggle my electrons at my fucking house and my wires.
Sounds so funny.
It does sound funny.
Wiggle my electric.
You've been wiggling mine. But how did they get there? How did they get there? You never sent them to me. DC's direct current. You're sending electrons somewhere. They go from A to B. They go from the negative side of the battery to the positive side. They travel, right? AC doesn't do that. AC just wiggles the little bitches back and forth where they are. That's it. Therefore, you never sent me anything. So how did it get here? It was already there. It was already there.
I feel like we could dive way deeper into that realm.
That right there, that is what changed everything to me. With electricity.
Yeah.
That's when the moment I realized, like, oh shit, it's already there. Because a
Wait a
transformer doesn't touch,
Is it wiggle?
but electricity flows through it. But they don't touch. It's wireless in your fucking box and your power lines outside right now. Right now is two coils sitting very close to each other, but they don't touch, and electricity's passing through it.
Yeah.
So electrons just jump from one to the other.
I can imagine it now, like little stick figures just.
Yeah. Woo! Woo! Woohoo! Man, this is so fun. Too bad they wiggle back and forth. They were already there. They don't jump over. This is all nonsense, dude. It's all nonsense. The moment I came to realize those electrons powering that light right there were already there. They didn't come here. They were already there. So we have been looking at it all wrong.
Yep.
Power is already there. We just have to learn how to tap into it.
Literally tapping into it.
That's it. And I think those pyramids figured it out.
And that goes along with a lot of things. You just have to learn how to tap into it. It already is there. It already exists.
Yes.
That's my theory on AI.
Yeah.
It already exists. We just tapped into it.
Correct.
And that goes for so many things that we just.
No one invents anything. They discover it.
Yeah. Literally. I mean.
Everything's a discovery because it was already there.
Yep.
If you found it, shit was already there. It was already there for us to find. You know, like, so this whole thing to me is just wild. Dude, I could take you down this electrical road for fucking hours. And the more you dive down it, the more you're like, oh shit. Why are we being lied to?
Yeah.
Why aren't they telling us this? Why aren't they giving us this oh shit, wait a minute. That would just totally wipe out all of the powers that be, and now no one has power over any of us, and now we can harness all the power ourselves, and we're off the grid, and we could just do whatever we wanted, and now teleportation and free energy and medical advancements beyond our dream. Shit, dude. No wonder they don't want us to have this shit.
Yeah. It makes a lot more sense when you actually think about all the things it would disrupt with the controlled environment and planetary system that we have going on. They don't want to lose control.
They want nothing to do with that shit.
So
JP
they're gonna
Morgan
shut
said it.
down.
If you can't meter that bitch, I don't want it. Tesla, I'm now going to kill you.
Done.
He said that too, by the way. He did.
He said that?
He said he was going to kill him. No, he didn't say that. But he did say the metering part. He or Westinghouse is one of the two of them. They essentially said, I'm not having it if I can't meter that bitch. And that's why all your shit's metered. That's why we go to DC.
Yeah.
It's so much more easily metered. You know, now they can make out whatever bullshit. No, we got a DC for this. No, because with this and this. It's propaganda, okay? They don't need to do any of that shit. You don't need to go. Why do we go to DC? Why don't we just use AC? But we only use it for long distances. But then short distances, I'll go back to DC. Why? Just use fucking AC the whole way. I don't understand, dude.
Yeah, why? Was it just to create more complication or more like, hey, we have AC and DC?
Oh, well, it's a two-parter. Number one, you can't use DC for long distance. Can't do it. Doesn't work.
Cannot.
Doesn't work. All right, they found that out really quickly.
But
that shit
can
doesn't
you
work.
use AC for short and long distance?
Sure, you use AC for whatever you want.
Yeah. Why?
DC was invented by Edison. Edison and
Was it actually invented by Edison?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Edison and Company.
Cool.
Now, whether it was Edison himself, but Edison and Company. Edison and Company then partnered with J.P. Morgan, and that's our electrical grid. And number two, DC is way easier to monitor and meter. You can see the flow. You know how much is flowing. Electrons don't flow. They don't go anywhere, dude. Nothing's moving. So how do you measure if nothing's fucking moving?
Right.
You convert that bitch back into DC real quick, guys.
Like, you got this.
Yeah, dude. I need some flow and shit here so I can determine how much they're using. Are you serious right now? You're telling me that you can just not know?
Like,
You just use as much as you want. You just tap into it and you just get it? Fuck that shit.
Like, no.
No, dude. I need a box outside their house that will convert all this bitch immediately.
Yes.
So that's really where this comes from.
I mean, you've told me a couple things just about JP Morgan alone and that whole rabbit hole that you've gone down. And that's something we're going to talk about
There's an episode that needs to come on just JP
real
Morgan.
soon. I mean, the
Just
1900s changed everything.
Yeah. 1900, 1920, 1930 is like,
Yeah.
that's
That
a global shift, real shift.
Just on that alone, we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can show you evidence of it.
dove down that rabbit hole heavy.
I have. And I've tried to, and there's so much more to do on it. You know, it's like every time I go and find something, I find more.
Yeah.
I didn't plan on finding out the Vatican was established in 1929. That one I didn't see. Dude, I literally was just going down that road earlier, and I was like, let's just find out some of these dates. I just trying to correlate some dates. And then I started finding, I was like, JP Morgan, you asshole. Dude, what the hell, man? Like, you show up even to the Vatican now. Like, everywhere I go,
Everywhere.
Titanic, fucking Federal Reserve, Vatican, Great Depression, Nikola Tesla. I don't care. The dude's been in everywhere. He shows up everywhere. Our entire electrical system, Niagara Falls being the first generator, the first house to ever have electricity. JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan, JP Morgan.
This man,
JP Morgan.
imagine you snatched him from history. Imagine you just like,
I think
could you imagine the time we would live in right now?
we are living in a dystopian future of progress. I guess it would be a utopia, in my opinion.
A U is a good
It's a good
utopia, right?
dystopia is bad. So we would live in a utopia,
Yeah.
not a dystopia. But like it's
This
almost
is the dys
we are in
because of JP Morgan,
we are
right?
in the dystopia
Yeah.
right now. In my opinion,
Utopia is,
Tesla was trying to get us there, and that's why they killed his ass.
If JP Morgan hadn't existed or was just like plucked from our timeline,
Or
Tesla would have succeeded.
or I thought to myself, this is weird. Why would someone else not invest in this man?
Anyone, somebody, there was money out there, right?
Oh, they did.
There was money.
Oh, they did.
No way.
Oh, they did.
Oh.
And guess how that fucking dude died? Go ahead, take a guess. How did he die?
Overdose on drugs?
No, just pick something I just said that JP Morgan's a part of.
Oh, Titanic?
Boom! Nailed it. Dude died on the Titanic. On it.
Always a drug overdose.
Yeah, not on that one, dude.
Okay.
Not on that one, sorry. This one was definitely a iceberg overdose.
Iceberg ahead.
Iceberg overdose!
But the guy had binoculars, did he not?
No, JP Morgan forgot to give that to them.
Forgot to give them.
Owned the liner, meant to go get him, didn't get him, decided not to even get on the boat that day anymore because he was supposed to, and he just decided not to. And then all his billionaire buddies that were coming over to try to reject the Federal Reserve, and one of them just so happened to also be Tesla's new backer, all dead. All dead. Everyone.
Crazy.
Now no one's there to back Tesla. No one's there to go against the Federal Reserve.
Did you ever hear the theory about the Titanic sinking was a scam, like a
Insurance scam
or
for the
something like
Olympic or whatever.
that? Have you gone down
I've
that
gone
rabbit
down
hole?
this road. I've
What does it
even
sound like?
tried to look. I went and found the pictures of the Titanic on the bottom, and then I tried to match the windows
Yeah.
with the Olympic. And not only that, but there are no serial numbers that we've been able to find that match the Olympic. I can't prove that theory. I can't do it. Now, I then started to read from this person that I found. This is a wild story that like he then goes into how, okay, well, JP Morgan owned it.
Owned what?
He owned the Titanic line. He owned the Titanic.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be on there. He was supposed to have the binoculars. I don't think they were supposed to take that route. That route was very well known to be iceberg ridden.
Like, it's a faster route.
There's a lot of weird things to that.
Yeah.
That you then start to this guy pulled out a lot of shit I had not seen before. I need to find it again and start going down those roads more.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know up until that point that JP Morgan owned the Titanic. That blew my damn mind. I don't think the Olympic has anything to do with it. In my opinion, from what I understand, I would say that he sent them knowingly into iceberg infested waters with no binoculars and to just hope for the best. You know?
Purpose? I mean, there had to be something behind
hope
the
for
idea.
the best to him would be like everybody dies. So he got the best.
His hope for the best.
He got what he wanted.
And it can't be traced back to him. Like, you can't do it unless you have all this information that we are starting to piece together years later. I mean, years later. Almost 100 at this point, almost.
Yeah, I mean, look how we didn't even find the wreckage until 1996.
What?
Yeah.
Not until 96?
Yeah. It was like 96, I'm pretty sure, that we finally found it. It was a long time, dude. It took a long time because it's like 2 miles down.
I wonder if he had people he knew that he didn't want to be on board, if he told them to get off or told them to not be a part of it.
Why wasn't there enough life vests? It's like the only ship that had ever done this. Like no one just doesn't. They had deemed the boat unsinkable.
Right.
So they decided that they could then relax the safety protocols.
How they got away with it?
This is how I'm serious. This is really how they got away with it. And then they decided that they didn't have to put as many lifeboats on the boat because the boat couldn't sink. Therefore, they could take people back and forth. They could, what do you call it? Damn it!
I don't know.
I know, dude.
Ferry.
A ferry. They could ferry.
Yeah.
They could ferry people back and forth because the boat would never sink.
Who deemed it unsinkable? Was it JP Morgan?
I guess the company who built the damn thing, dude.
Was it JP Morgan's
JP Morgan's company? Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah, that's who built. Yeah, this is who owned the damn thing and deemed it this way.
Sent him a note, a letter. It was like, so.
Yeah. Yes.
This is how this is gonna go.
At the same time, we're also making the concert pitch 440.
Yeah.
And all this shit. Like, all this is going on at the same time. Dude. All of it's happening at the same time. It's wickedly weird to be Boston.
We talked about it being a full reset.
Yeah. It's almost, you know what? When we were talking about this earlier, it started to hit me that this feels very much like the pandemic of COVID. How much money moved from the poor to the rich during the pandemic?
I mean,
and everybody kept saying, what? It's the Great Reset.
Yeah. An immense amount, right?
1929, what happens? The stock market crash. And then you see 10 years of the greatest money change of hands ever.
Almost 100 years later.
And now we're just doing it again.
Why do you...
It's a shift. This is a way to shift money from poor to rich. Make powerful more powerful, poor more poor.
Yeah. But don't they know that without the poor, they like...
No, I mean, we're slaves to them, dude.
I mean, yeah.
We're just purely slaves. They don't give a shit. So no, as long as we're existing, that's why they give us things.
Enough.
Correct. Yeah, they give us
just enough to be poor.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
This is why I've always wondered, like, why doesn't electricity advance? And people are like, it's because we've already figured it all out.
No, not even a little bit. We've gone away from the idea of what it actually is, haven't we? Like, completely steered away from the real
Tell
idea.
me something in life that never advances.
Nothing.
That we just suddenly are like, wow, that's the end of that. That's the end. We figured it out.
Always try to figure out.
I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care.
Always.
It doesn't matter what it is.
Even this freaking sparkling drink right here.
Dude, we make plastic better every day.
Yeah. We're like,
we've been making that shit for fucking 50 years, and we're like, I got a better way to make plastic. But electricity
No, we're
People are like, dude, we've already figured all that out.
Yeah, how long ago? When did we decide electricity
Yeah, I guess.
was good?
Yeah, like 100 years ago. Yeah, this is good. We're done here.
Yeah, and then we added another port to our.
Yeah, we added a whole a prong. We added a third prong to it.
Like,
and we took that prong and then we just
Look at this.
we just sent it to the ground.
Done.
That was my favorite part. Is like I was like, well, what does this third prong do? Like more power? We get like more power from it, right? No, they just fucking sent it to the ground. It's a safety mechanism. That's all that bitch was.
Cool.
Like,
That's our upgrade.
So our upgrade after 100 years is a fucking safety mechanism. You fucking assholes.
Like, I guess less fires are good.
Dude, that not only that, but like I remember as a kid, a tornado would come through and our power would go out for a fucking week, and I was like, man, eventually we'll get past this. And then I was talking to my dad about that one too, and he was like, nah, I mean, tornadoes do that shit to us too. And I was like, well, why don't we go underground or something? He's like, I don't know. It's just the way it's always been. We just always hoist these bitches up on wood poles over our houses.
Yeah, no, they don't believe in going underground with that stuff.
Now, there are problems with going underground. But could it be done? 100%.
Are there more problems going underground than there are having it? For one, your eyesight, like it destroys the way the planet looks.
Cost.
Cost. Freaking money. Is that what it is?
You have to insulate the wires so well, it's going to cost a whole lot more. The ground is a bunch of positive electrical energy flowing. And that's why Tesla says you got to have an antenna in the ground and in the air, creates the dipole. You've got a magnet, positive, negative side of the magnet, right? And so, like, they can't put it in the ground the way it is now is because it would disrupt the flow.
Huh.
It would fuck. You know how you hear noise when they cross, right?
Yeah.
Same idea. Okay. You're going to get electrical noise now. And so they just, oh man, we'd have to like really insulate these bitches. Hoist them up in the air.
Yeah.
Poles are way cheaper. 100 years later, here we are.
Yep.
We already figured it all out though, dude. And wireless is impossible. That's impossible. We can't do that. I know Tesla lit light bulbs in the ground 25 miles away from his power station, but that is impossible.
Yep. Can't be done.
Can't be done.
Definitely can't.
Sure, he admits in a patent of his that he was able to send 40,000 horsepower electricity 40 miles in the ground, but impossible. Yeah. Totally possible.
Can't recreate that.
Totally possible. Amelia Earhart happens to be able to radio transmit to other boats and other people through the ionosphere, but we can't send power through it or anything through it.
No.
Impossible. Yeah, I don't really know how to explain any of this shit.
Nope. That is going to wrap up this episode of pyramids, titanium, and other things that we have talked about.
Yeah, our ancient history and electricity, but it's just all tied.
And it's all for, entertainment purposes, because none of that's actually real. I mean,
no.
Am I right?
I'm a conspiracy crackpot. I'm just a weird guy in a basement.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I just read some shit online and speak what I read, and it's probably all nonsense.
And it's
don't listen to me. For sure, don't listen to me.
Because you probably couldn't find the research behind it anyways.
No, I don't have 2,000 books, and I don't have a giant crazy crackpot Google Earth project, and I'm not experimenting with anything.
Yeah, no.
None of these are happening. No.
But next time, we'll show you what we are experimenting with.
One day. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Y'all keep coming back.
Yeah.
And we'll keep showing you. How about that?
Yep. Welcome to Awakening 101.
We're your professors. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Chazz, that was a great conversation.
Yeah, dude. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That was fun. All right. Until next time.
How do
we end these things?
Just like that.
End.